Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the British line. This is the Tier 9 Medium Centurion 7.1, following on from our previous video, the Cent 1 Tier 8 Medium. As always, we'll have a look at the tech spec first, and we will use blitzhanger.com for that. Now, this tank has something new. The firing system in it has HESH shells on the top gun, and this is something very different. It's something unique. It's something unique to the British line. This is the first tank in the line that you can use the HESH shells with, and therefore it's different. It's a different type of gameplay because there's different shell dynamics, and to help you adapt, therefore there is a mini tutorial on firing HESH shells in this video, which I hope you will find useful. Now, HESH, of course, is high explosive squash head. It's a kind of similar shell to heat, but has different dynamics, and we look at those in some detail. Now, in terms of tank itself, I would run black T to maximize the view range. You get up to almost 308 meters, which is excellent, one of the best in tier, and this also maxes your reload time as well. Now, you have a choice of 4 guns, but it's the top gun only that has HESH, so be aware of that. And the top 2 guns are both 105mm guns, but only the top gun has HESH, the other has standard rounds. Now, the L7B, as I said, the top gun is the one with HESH, so if you want to fire HESH, that's what you need. 255mm of pen with gun rammer on this gun, 268mm with calibrated shells doing 350 damage points. Please note that APCR is your standard round on this, not AP. Muzzle velocity is 1478 meters per second, going up to 1921 with supercharge, which is the best in tier. Muzzle velocity with HESH is lower, right? It's 525 meters per second, and HE is the same. So it has lower muzzle velocity than your standard APCR round. That's usually different. For example, if your standard PRAMMO round is APCR, it has a higher muzzle velocity, so your muzzle velocity is lower, right? As it is with heat if you're used to firing that as a PRAMMO. So let's take a time out. Let's hand over to the boffins and have a look at this HESH mini tutorial.
HESH high explosive squash head, heat high explosive anti-tank. These two rounds first saw use in World War II. For these ammo types, distance or kinetic energy are not a factor once they reach their target. HESH is a slow speed round that uses concussive explosive energy to damage the interior of the target. HESH contains a thin casing with a plastic explosive that flattens against the target before exploding. Once the round is partially squashed, the plastic explosive ignites. The concussive energy transfers through, and pieces of the armor or equipment inside become the destructive elements. Heat contains an inverted cone-shaped charge with a metallic liner. Once the round reaches the target, it detonates, creating a molten metal hypersonic jet. This explosively formed penetrator requires standoff distance to form its maximum penetrating power. Research has shown the more angled the cone is, the more concentrated the jet becomes, increasing its force and penetration distance. Advances in technology have mitigated these effects, such as explosive reactive armor and composite armor with ceramic plates and other materials. Spaced or slat armor also reduces the effects due to causing premature detonation.
So you've got all that, I hope. So let's just have a checklist or recap. So HESH detonates on initial impact. Therefore, it is not a push through round. It won't go through objects, even the wooden buildings, etc. that you have in Blitz. It won't go through those. It's also not effective against spaced armor for the same reason that it detonates on impact, so be aware of that. It has lower muzzle velocity than APCR in this case, which is your standard round. So therefore, it's the opposite of firing APCR as a standard as a PRAMMO. Because APCR normally has a higher muzzle velocity when that's your PRAMMO, so you need to be aware of that. Muzzle velocity is lower when you use HESH. It has less pen than your standard round, which is normally AP, in this case APCR. And it has less pen than normal PRAMMO rounds when they're heat too. So what does that mean? Well, it means that your APCR, which is your standard round, is your maximum penetrating round. And that's very different because our gameplay, our learned behavior is that when we need extra pen, we switch to our PRAMMO. That's not the case here. Your standard round is your maximum penetrating round, and you need to be aware of that. But the advantage of HESH is that it has higher damage than your standard round, in this case APCR. It has the same damage as HE, but much better penetration. So with that in mind, let's go back to the tech spec. So reload time is 8.25 seconds. If you use gun rammer, it's 8.8 seconds. If you use calibrated shells, I would run vertical stabilizer because you fire a lot when moving. Gun depression is 10 degrees, elevation is 18, so it has very good gun alignment. Gun depression is excellent. It also has a strong turret, and we'll have a look at that in the armor inspector in a second. And of course, you know, with this gun depression, it means that this tank is a good hold down tank. 40 kilometers per hour and 20 in reverse, right? So this tank is not so fast, right? Its top speed is not so fast, but we know that the top speed is not necessarily indicative of its agility. Its power to weight ratio is, and its power to weight ratio is middling. It's not bad, but it's not good, and it's certainly a lot worse than most mediums, and it has a port reverse. So you need to be aware of that. This tank is not a particularly agile medium. Of course, it's more agile than a heavy tank, but it's not a particularly agile medium, and you need to adapt to your gameplay accordingly and be aware of this limitation with this tank. So what do you mean I need to adapt my play, Armoured? Well, you know, the normal role of a medium tank is to go out and spot, right? And this thing has good view range and that. But if you only do 40 kilometers per hour, and it means that other tanks are going to get to those spotting positions before you, so you need to be aware of that and play accordingly. Play anticipating that tanks will arrive before you. Now, looking at the armor profile, what do we see? Very strong gun mantlet and good turret armor means that we have a hull down tank, which is going to be very good at sniping because it has an excellent gun system. We also note the spaced armor on the sides, right? That means that you're not going to be able to HESH, heat, or HE. It's going to do no or minimum damage to you. And if you want to fire a shell above that spaced armor, you need to have a very, very accurate gun because it is not a very big space to aim at. It has some armor on the front as well. The tracks are protected with the spaced armor, so it's really vulnerable though. At the back, of course, it has virtually no armor, but side on, it has protection against HESH, HE, and heat. And front on, it has some armor, and it has that excellent turret and strong gun mantlet, which means that hull down sniping, it really is very effective, and the gun system is excellent. The gun dispersion is only 0.290, or if you run refined gun instead of vertical stabilizer, if you're planning on doing a lot more sniping than you are moving, then it is 0.276 only. What does that mean? Well, the dispersion is effectively maximum deviation, so that means at 100 meters, 0.29 means that you can miss the target by a maximum of 29 centimeters from the center of the aiming circle. That's all it means, and therefore the higher the number, the more chance you have of missing. So the lower the number, as in this case only 29 centimeters or 0.29, means you have a very little chance of missing. So it's a very accurate gun system, and you're going to see that in the game just how good this gun system is. And it does need to have an accurate gun because it has low penetrating rounds, and what I mean by that is that your PRAMMO doesn't give you extra pen, so your maximum pen is on your standard round, which in this case is APCR. So you see here we've got APCR, HE, and HE, and the middle HE is your HESH. So this game kind of illustrates all of the key characteristics that we want to show in this tank, its good points and its bad points. Now, I'm going to go towards D, which is eventually, because I wasn't really sure what the BC is doing, but I'm going to go towards D, which is your kind of standard channel on this map for a medium tank. You can see here that the Fawk and the Leopard pull away from me, so that's the limitation we spoke about in terms of the power to weight ratio and top speed. I'm going to take up a position here where I'm going to try to use my strong turret armor and gun depression to see if I can do some damage onto the opposition, and we clear off the first tank. So good start from my team. Now we have the T-54 over here in the corner, and he's just cleared off one, so we're one tank down each. Now what I decided to do here is this part of this map is good for me because it allows me to utilize gun depression and my strong turret armor. So I'm going to try to take up a position here between these two hills. What I want to do is I want to try to spot to see what's around the corner so I can relay that to my enemy, and bingo, we spot up the mouse, which we knew was there, but the Fawk, which we didn't know was there. I'm going to slow this down here because I want you to have a look at that shot there on the FOC. You see, it's the smallest of small targets right at the bottom of the FOC, but the gun system on this delivered that round straight in. You can see there gold ribbon already for damage with my assistance, so basically relaying those positions to my allies has allowed me to get that gold ribbon already. So that's some XP in the bag. I'm going to come around again, and this time I fluffed a shot on the FOC, but I dropped the adrenaline and I'm going to put one into the mouse. I'm going to slow this down here because, you know, I'm up tiered here, so I'm up against the mouse, front onto the mouse. The only point I can penetrate is that bottom square of weaker armor on the bottom of the mouse. That's the only point on the front of the mouse that I can actually pen, and that is one of the limitations of this tank. With the gun system that has your standard round as your maximum penetrating round, there is no fallback position, there is no extra pen to go to on your PRAMMO, so you need to be very accurate and pick your shots. But as I said, and as you saw exemplified on the shot on the FOC, the gun system is extremely reliable and very accurate, and it won't let you down. Pick your shots well, and this gun system will deliver. Now you're going to see an example here of shot selection. So I'm going to come over here, and the AMX-50B is coming down. I fire off a APCR round, fluff that shot. It actually hits the apex of the armor between the turret and the main body of the tank. But now switch up to HESH, and bam, there you go. So first round APCR, got unlucky in that it should have penned, just hit the apex, and I didn't want to stay around to give him too many shots. He fluffs a shot on me, move forward with the IS-7 pushing up on him. He has to address that as the main target. I switch up to HESH and pick my spot, and bam, big alpha roll, 460 damage points. Just think about that, 460 damage points in a medium tank at tier 9. That's effectively kind of damage that you'd be happy with a heavy tank like an IS-7 or an IS-4 at tier 10. And that is one of the great characteristics of this tank, and why people want to get a gun system with HESH and why they want to use it. A tier 9 medium tank dropping 560 alpha rolls, and you can get up to 500, that's your max roll, and you can deliver that every 8 seconds. That is pretty impressive DPM. But of course you have to be aware of the limitations and the different aspects of the firing system. But once you get used to that and utilize it and cycle through your shells to maximum effect, you will have a very, very effective gun system, very effective play, and be able to be a very effective contributor towards victories, and of course towards your own statistics, your win 8 and your win 7, etc. There are no other tier 9 medium tanks delivering 500 damage point alpha rolls every 8 seconds. Now, you saw there a standard shot on the APCR, and again when I come up here I'm going to slow this down because again this illustrates perfectly the limitations of the gun system here. You saw there as I line up a shot on the T57 Heavy, which is quite well armoured front on. This is the issue with HESH's PRAMMO. Normally here, especially for a kill shot, I would switch up to my PRAMMO to get the extra pen and make sure to kill. That's not an option here when you're using HESH's PRAMMO because I don't have any extra pen, so I have to make my standard round, my APCR round count. But pick your target, gun system delivers, and delivers that third kill for me in this game. So just a couple of examples of the different aspects of the gun system, how it's different to most ordinary gun systems you will have played before. But you saw there it can be extremely effective. Over 1.3k of XP, which delivers the mastery badge. Almost 3k of damage. It's good, not spectacular, but really it's the additional XP for spotting and allowing my team to do damage that pushes me over the line and gets me that additional XP plus a couple of bases captured, which always helps. But I think overall that's a very good illustration of the advantages and disadvantages of this tank and the gun system that it has. But overall, HESH is an excellent gun system to have. It's something different and something unique, and it's fun to play. And you know, we're always looking for different things to do in Blitz, something which is not normal, and this HESH system is definitely not that. So let's have a recap. I mean, this is a different medium tank. It's not as agile as others, but it does have great characteristics, as we just looked at. Use the top gun because that's the HESH gun, baby, and that's what it's all about. That's what makes this tank different. It's not as agile as most mediums, as we looked at in both its top speed and power to weight ratio and its traverse, so you need to take note of that. I would maximize the view range, therefore use black tea, and that also helps with the reload. I would use supercharged vertical stabilizer, and then the choice is yours. Gun rammer or calibrated shells both work. Calibrated shells you might prefer, particularly when you're starting off with, to get that extra pen, given that your standard round is your maximum penetrating round. Watch the traverse if you're in a brawl, move the tracks as well, and note the HESH shells. Note that it's a different kind of PRAMMO. And you know, I know I've said that a lot during this, but really please do, because you know it goes against your normal learned behavior of playing Blitz. Hull down, it is a monster. You know, but it does have a different playstyle to other mediums. The top speed is limiting in terms of spotting, etc. And if you're going into circle of death on a big heavy, you need to get in close, because that poor power to weight ratio means that if you take a wide radius, you can get into trouble. Now, there you go. Hashtag at super gun system, because it is a super gun system. It's something different, something fun. Get it, play it, enjoy it, because it really is something a bit special, something different. And that's what this tank is all about, and why it is the favourite tank actually of many Unicorn players. So cheers Mush, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful. Please stay safe, stay inside, play Blitz, watch my videos, and I guess all that remains for me to say is pants off.